Hello, and welcome to a brand new show called Can You Keep a Secret? The best investigative journalist program about secrets management for applications. What's a secret? What's an application? These are excellent questions, and we will get to them in our programming coming up. Our first guest for this evening is a developer advocate from a company called Doppler that bills itself as a universal secrets manager. So, Ryan, thank you very much for joining us this evening. How are you going?
Yes, g'day. It's great to be here. Just doing some work on the website. You can see behind me. Um, you know, doing some documentation.
Yes, very good. Very
Uh,
good. Um, Excellent. Well, let's get straight into the questions. So, this war on ENV files I've heard you talk about. Can you sort of explain that to me?
yeah, sure. It's quite complex, really. Let's see. We originally were people were storing their secrets in source code, and then we realized that was a pretty bad idea after some pretty disastrous security incidents, and then we realized that environment variables were probably like going to be a better way to do it because then they're not really in code. But then it was tricky because then it's like, well, who sets the environment variables, and like where does that go, and then like who does that, and then then it was
Oh,
like, well, let's put them in env
very,
files,
very,
which are
very
like kind of
interesting,
like shell
Ryan.
scripts, but we call them env files
Excellent.
because they're just
Um, uh, Sorry, I can't remember what we were talking about. Can you tell me about this war on ENV files again?
no worries, man, no, all good. Right, so env files were a way to basically get secrets out of source code, but they also
Ah,
created a new problem because now we've got secrets in plain text files on servers everywhere. And it's kind of weird that we know that we should keep our personal passwords in a secret manager, such as, one password or LastPass. But a lot of us, running applications aren't doing the same thing for env files where you wouldn't put your password in a plain text file on your desktop computer. But in a way, that's kind of what env files are for, servers when they're sitting on servers are in unencrypted text files.
that makes more sense. Sorry about before. I just needed a little sleep. Um, right. So the war on ENV files is about preventing your secrets being at risk. Um, I'm under the impression that a lot of people actually store their secrets in ENV files, and I don't seem to be hearing too much about it. No, there's a lot of open source projects that use .env files, so I'm just a bit confused. If this risk is as great as you say it is, then why is it that more people aren't moving away from ENV files?
You know, env files is kind of one of those things where it's sort of like the best solution that a lot of developers know of. We don't necessarily, if you're an open source project, you don't want to necessarily just say to people, go and use this secrets manager from this company, that's making money. That kind of that feels a bit off. But at the same time, apart from we know environment variables are the best way to store secrets and expose them to applications, but there's this sort of like missing link. And really, env files are just, you know, the sort of best default, easiest way to at least keep your secrets out of source code. But, if we're honest, there are some risks in just keeping them as plain text files. But for a lot of developers who've never used a secrets manager before or who have actually tried to use one and found it quite clunky and difficult to use, env files that's just the best solution they know of.
So I understand that we need to be using secret managers, and well, aren't you from a secrets management company, Doppler? Like, doesn't that mean that you're a little bit biased in this area?
Yes, Ryan, that's a fair question. And look, to a certain extent, yes, there is a business benefit from us, for people wanting to use Doppler or wanting to use secrets managers. But really, this war on ENV files that we're talking about isn't just, it's not trying to get everyone to use Doppler. It's really just to help developers sort of realize that, something I think they already really know, which is that keeping secrets in plain text files just feels a bit off. And so what this war on ENV file is really about is not pushing us, every developer to us. It's more just saying, hey, there is this thing called a secrets manager. And there are various companies from, HashiCorp to AWS, GCP, Azure, that have secrets managers, and that, using something like that it gets your secrets out of plain text env files is definitely a better option. Now, we have some opinions in terms of, good workflows that really kind of like help developers, embrace a secrets manager. But really our goal here is just to see developers move away from env files by letting them know that there is other solutions and tools out there that can do a much better job and at security and productivity.
Okay, I understand. So it's not just a security issue; it's actually a productivity issue. That's very interesting. But surely no one embeds secrets in source code though anymore, right?
Well, Ryan, I'd love to think that was true. But this Twilio hack that occurred in the past, although we can't confirm whether the files that we saw leaked secrets, hard-coded secrets in, was actually live on production servers at the time that Twilio source code was leaked, it is evidence that at some point in their history they did have secrets embedded in files in source code, whether this be on their code host in GitHub or somewhere else. And I think this is another thing that we as a development community and security community need to acknowledge, is that there are probably more secrets in source code than we realize. And you can kind of understand why this is. A developer or a company, they've code in a private repository, and private means that it's only private to them. But what they don't think about is that anyone that can see the code can also access the secrets. So it's not necessarily just about keeping secrets away from hackers and things like that, but keeping them away from other people that don't need to know what they are. And that's what the principle of least privilege is all about. So even if it's considered safe and private to have your secrets in your source code, you're actually violating the fundamentals of security, which is why it's best to get them out of source code and into environment variables injected by some sort of secrets manager, preferably.
So you say that there's a better way, that we shouldn't settle for using .env files, but I'm just taking a quick look at Doppler here, and it seems that this is actually very just similar to a .env file. Except instead of a text file, we've got keys on one side in a text field, and then a value for a secret on the other side. This really just seems like a web UI for a .env file. So, are you able to explain to me sort of is Doppler really better than just a .env file, or is it just a fancy web UI around env files?
Certainly on first look, you can take a look and go, well, this is just a web UI, like you said, keys and values, but now it's a web UI instead of a text file. But it actually goes a lot deeper than that. Look, there's lots of, really cool workflows that I could talk to you about. But, to give you one example, if a change is made, let's say to a secrets in production, and it's the wrong change, and that brings down a bunch of servers, well, maybe the person that made that change has gone home for the day and they're not contactable. So now it may not even be obvious to the person that's fixing the problem, the server that's on fire, what the previous value was. And so even though this is a very simple thing, it can cause big problems. Now, Doppler has a rollback feature, which is a feature that most other secret managers have as well, where you can go to our web UI in our little activity log, see the secret that was changed incorrectly, revert that change, and then if you're using one of our integrations, such as Heroku or Vercel, that change will automatically get synced to that server where the application is, cause it to restart, redeploy, and then everything will be fixed. So even though when you first look at Doppler's UI and it just seems like a key value store, there's actually a lot of other developer friendly workflows that take those secrets and do much more interesting things that save a lot of time, and in this case if the server's on fire because it's got the wrong secret, a lot of heartache and worry as well.